sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, we're a united band.
All right, it is that time again for the Northeast Florida edition of the Blitz here, and it is Happy Smart is Cool Day. Okay, I didn't even know that was such a thing, but here we go. And there was already comments firing off when we were while we were going live, and here we are, and
yeah,
some of the comments here already, and. Mark, apparently there was two correct answers to Mark's question in the chat. One was that what was the common thing about Mount Tavares, Umatilla, and Mount Dora Christian? Well, they're all three of their mascots are Bulldogs. Well, all three are also in Lake County, and all three are not very far apart from each other. So, anyways, welcome to the Northeast Florida edition of the Blitz here. That is Christopher Life there. I'm Josh Wilson, and we appreciate everybody joining us here for tonight's show episode. We're into double digits now on both shows here. Next week we'll have done over 100 shows when we get to week 11. So we have really we have rolled, and we are excited. And Coach Brian Braddock will be joining us here from the 8-0 St. Augustine Yellow Jackets. They got Ridgeview this week, and then next week they have a big game against Mandarin. So we'll talk more about that as we roll along here. And Chris, let's get into some Blitz Lines. Look back on what was last week. Oh, yeah. Last week's games that we looked back on our pick six, First Coast, Bishop Kenny. That was no contest. Bishop Kenny rolls all over First Coast. I think I did that on that because we needed some games for the region, because it was one of those weeks where we just needed some games. But you know what? I still asked a question on this next one, Chris. It was Bishop Kenny a lot. First Coast a little. I don't have the score written down in front of me right this second. Sorry, guys, but that tells you where it was basically no contest. We had it at one, right? This one, I wonder really how old the old plank is. I wonder how old that plank is, because old plank rolled over Bishop Snyder, and what a game they had. And they are now 7-2 on the season, looking at a top 8 seed, potentially in the North Division of the SSA 11-man bracket. Potentially, I'm not sure what it's going to look like fully, because anything can happen here. With the final week of the regular season for SSA schools.
Yeah, Old Plank winning that game 64-20. Really taking it to the woodshed on Bishop Snyder in that game.
Yeah. St. Joseph, this one was another SSA game. St. Joseph is now 8-0 on the season, and they hand Oak Hall their third straight loss. And Oak Hall, who started with 5 straight games, they are now 5-3. St. Joseph's 8-0, and Cody Ott and Asher Glisson are just still rolling for the Flashes down there in St. Augustine. And what's interesting is St. Joseph's been around. They used to have a long-time rivalry, by the way, with Florida Deaf and Blind until FSDB went to 8-man football a while back, and when the Sunshine State Athletic Association started after an 8-man football, and but they used to have a long time rivalry down there, and we'll have to really document that because it's that. Mark Ann says Old Plank is a road. I know that because yes, it is. It very much is a road there in Jacksonville. I mean, I grew up in those parts. In Jacksonville, that's where I was born. Jacksonville.
Of course, I had to make fun of the name, so.
I asked the pirate how old the plank was, but the only thing he said was "Arr."
Yeah.
That deserves this. That deserved the laugh track, Emery. So, anyways, as we roll along here, yeah, that was sound of brakes. Trinity Christian pumped the brakes on our thoughts about Lincoln, and it's like, ooh, yeah. What we know about Lincoln, we really don't know. But what we know about Trinity Christian, maybe we don't know either.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that one out too, and
like I just don't know. It's just like like I said last night.
Maybe it's a road thing for Lincoln. I don't know.
I just don't know. This is where they've had a couple games this year where they have just literally have had where it's been. I'm.
It's like they go to sleep or something. I don't know. I mean.
Yeah, Mark, you're right. Trinity Christian has risen from its slumber. By the way, out of all the Trinity Christian teams that they're in the state, they're the only one left with football. By the way, Deltona Trinity Christian, they folded their football program before season even got started.
Mm-hmm.
It was a numbers game, which is what we're seeing here with some programs around the state. We have seen it be a numbers game here with some of that. And then Oakleaf and Ed White, which was, by the way, it was the Jaguars game of the week last week. And oh my gosh, it lived up to the billing. 45-41, I believe, was the final score. Oakleaf wins that game. And it was tit for tat on both sides. And the numbers, I believe I still got it up here because this one was some and doing the research on this for the Whataburger Player of the Week for the Jaguars. That I'm trying to see where I put it at, where what happened to it, because maybe it's right here in this document here. Yeah, right here. There we go. There were some stats from that game that were just impressive when I was looking at it here. Here we go. Fareed Coleman for Oakleaf. 30 carries, 295 on the ground, 5 touchdowns in that 45-41 victory. King Bolston for Ed White, 14 of 20, 231, 3 touchdowns, also 130 yards on the ground of touchdowns for the Commanders. It's both sides of the ball. I mean, I feel like the offenses showed up, defenses went napping.
Yeah, they were like, who wanted to blink first in that game?
It was a chess match.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, okay, which piece am I moving? And then it was like, oh well, here's Oakleaf moves a piece, Ed White moves a piece, and the next thing you know, it's like it's coming down to basically the wire. So, Mark, I need a Whataburger where I'm at. I mean, the closest one for me is to drive to Middleburg. So,
mine's right down the street.
That's not fair. That's not fair. No. That is not fair. All right, as we roll along here, as we finish up the Blitz Lines here, our final game. This one,
no comment, Emery.
This one, the Beachside in Middleburg. Congratulations to the alma mater. 37-36 overtime over the Barracudas. Now it's caused 5A3 to go into a whole let's just say it could be in a three-way tie, and some things could happen here depending on, it could be a three-way tie. Middleburg beats Fleming Island this week, and then Beachside takes care of business against Orange Park, and then they got to make up the game against Fleming Island, take care of business there. It could be in a 30-way tie by the time everything happens. The points, I mean, there's some scenarios here that could happen. But let's say Beachside still very much in the mix of the playoffs, but Middleburg makes the guy, I think, more secured their playoff berth at this particular point. With the final two games remaining, beat Fleming Island, by the way, I was talking to Corey Davis, Placa Daily News. He gave me some notes again. It's been 35 years since Middleburg has had a 9-win season. That's very possible now with the remaining schedule. Beat Fleming Island, got North Marion, who has struggled this year. Take care of that. They could be 9-1 here.
Yeah, interesting scenario for Middleburg Beachside. And, oh man, that just it's gonna be fun to see that last week of district play coming up.
No, absolutely. This last week of district play right here that we've got right now, with the week 11 games are going to matter, and then those few makeup games that are going to be coming November 3rd and November 4th before the playoff brackets are released on Thursday, November 6th. Again, there's going to be a lot there. So, but all right, we're going to take a 2-minute timeout. We're going to come back, and we're going to have head coach Brian Braddock from the undefeated St. Augustine Yellow Jackets on, also district champs as well, by the way. We will talk more with Coach Braddock about the Yellow Jackets coming up here in just a couple minutes here on the Northeast Florida edition of the Blitz.
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought, if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, there's a great chance that I can do it. The First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with a free ScoreStream mobile app. Download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Get ready for the 2026 Coach of the Year Clinics. This February and March, see top collegiate coaches, learn from the best, and take your program to the next level. Don't miss America's most respected coaching clinics.
All right, welcome back here to the Northeast Florida edition of the Blitz here on FloridaHSFootball.com and the FloridaHSFootball.com social media handles. If you're not subscribing to us on the YouTube side, hit us on that like button. Florida HS Football, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell when we go live or put us new content. We appreciate everybody joining us here, and joining us now from the undefeated 8-0 St. Augustine Yellow Jackets is the head coach of that team, an alum of the school himself. That is Brian Braddock joining us here. Coach, good evening to you. Appreciate you being able to take some time to talk about the team. And boy, y'all are, again, but no surprise, St. Augustine just doing St. Augustine things, winning ball games, having fun on the football field. It just just talk about this team this year that you've got, and we'll get into some of the guys here as well, because there's definitely some gold nuggets here we can get into.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Maybe not a surprise to you, But,
no, not a surprise to me what y'all are doing.
when you're replacing 15 starters and many 3-year starters and a 29-person senior class and a lot of kids who've won a lot of football games and played a lot of big games and doing great things in college as freshmen this year. I was anxious a little bit about how things would go this year, and we certainly have some really, really good football players, but we also have a lot of young kids who've stepped into bigger roles, and so it's been fun. We've certainly had we've had a couple things go our way in some big games, some tight games, and but sometimes the best teams, like we're starting a bunch of sophomores in certain places and replaced a bunch of kids, but sometimes the best teams just have that knack to find ways to win. And so it's been pretty fun.
No, absolutely. I'm going to get into a gold nugget here because you got a Florida Gator great Brandon James on your staff. He played at St. Augustine. His son's coming out through Brenton. What is it about this when y'all can bring alumni back? I know y'all are getting ready to. I believe there's going to be a celebration coming up here. I believe for the 2005 state championship team that was under head coach Joey Wiles, who you played under. What is it like just having guys that have gone off and they have done impressive things and have come back home to be a Yellow Jacket once more, but like yourself, come back home to be a Yellow Jacket once more?
Yeah, I think, just this past weekend, Coach Wiles was one of the 3 inductees in this year's class for the St. Augustine High School Hall of Fame. And I think a lot of that's a testament to Coach. And, I call him Coach. We all call him Coach. And, the vast majority, in fact, I could probably count on one hand the number of guys we have amongst our 2 staffs, JV through varsity, that aren't Yellow Jacket alumni that didn't either play for Coach Wiles or for me when I first got here. So, there's a lot of places that have guys who come back for sure, but I think the volume of people we have that do that is pretty remarkable. And it speaks to what Coach Wiles established. It speaks to how big of an experience that was for us, how formative it was for us, because why else would we choose to do this other than it must have made a big impact in our lives. And so it is pretty cool.
No, absolutely. Your microphone, Chris.
Over the course of the season, you guys have had 3 close calls with Bowles, Riverside, and Nice. What does it speak to the character of your team to keep winning those games or in those close ball games like that?
Yeah, and the Riverside game was really, that's the one that it was maybe less heralded, although they have a good football team with maybe just not the record to show it. That was pretty incredible. We had lost our top 2 receivers coming out of the Bowles game for a week, and went into that game, and our offense goes out and scores 40 some odd points and plays incredibly and overcomes that, and we couldn't stop Riverside. Their quarterback had a tremendous night, and our young defense I think was still a little shell shocked from the Bowles game the week before, when we kind of got run over and knocked around. And but that was just a remarkable win. And I know that sounds weird out of the 3, but that's the one that jumps out to me the most. We had just experienced success. We had upset Bowles. Maybe other people didn't think it was an upset. I viewed it as an upset. And then went on the road to Riverside. We're in the backyard. There's very few people at the game. It was just different, and how well are we going to handle success? But the Bowles and Nice games were different in that whenever one side of the ball would falter, the other side of the ball would do something spectacular and kind of show the team, like, hey, we're going to be okay. Like, we're going to answer. If the offense sputtered for a couple of series, the defense would step up. If the defense was having trouble, the offense would go score right away. So, again, sometimes the best teams just have the resilience to do that, and it's definitely been the makeup of our team.
No, absolutely. And, looking at the team as a whole, what you've got, Brenton, it's obviously almost 2,000 yards passing, 23 touchdowns. Y'all have got several guys that are, you rely on the ground game with over 1,100 yards rushing, but the receiving, you got 2 guys north of 500 yards, San Diego, with Julio San Diego, almost 700 yards receiving. That's impressive, right? These guys are just, what we see when I say it's looking at the stat sheet, you can tell this is a collective team effort. It's not just about any one particular guy. It's a collective team effort.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I think that's the that's the strength of the way that we've played offense now for the last several years, is that we really want to do what's available, and the style of offense we play, the scheme that we've kind of dove into full speed ahead since about 2022 is designed to do that, and we're just as happy to run for 300 yards as we are to throw for 300 yards. And our two tailbacks, Trindall Anderson and Nate Preston, have been tremendous. Like you just mentioned, the two guys on the perimeter, Julio and Samorian, and then Brenton has just done an incredible job. He's completing 70% of his passes. He's a weapon with his legs. He had a little bit of a hamstring injury coming out of the Nice game. We've been a little hesitant to run him much since then, as he's kind of working through that. But I mean, whatever's needed, we feel like our offense can do, and we've got some offensive linemen, three or four of them have a good bit of experience. That is a place on our team where we brought experience back. It is a complete team effort. We feel like whatever's available, we can take advantage of. And we've had games this year where Samorian had 10 catches for over 150 yards, and Julio had 1 or 2. And last week, Julio had 10 for over 150 yards, and Samorian only had a few. And whatever's available, we feel like we can take.
No, and there's a question in our chat from Mark Cannon. He said, "Coach, heard you say got Samorian Wingo to try football while he was playing basketball. What did you tell him to convince him?" So he's throwing the question out to you on this one.
Yeah, I got to give Brandon James credit for that. So Samorian was at Murray Middle School and was had a lot of notoriety as a basketball player. And Coach James at the time was working at Murray Middle School at our feeder middle there, and he was coaching at St. Augustine, but working at the middle school. And got Samorian to go out for the first time as an 8th grader and play football. And then, kind of the rest is history since then. Played in 9th grade. And, Samorian's an interesting kid because he's a football player. In today's day and age of recruiting, he's a late bloomer, meaning, 9th grade, he played JV. That's what he did. And he stuck out for sure, but he played JV, was still learning how to play football. 10th grade was not smooth. I can remember we went to Brunswick, dropping the football, wide open, big plays, dropping the ball. Bartram Trail dropping the ball. And then the back half of his sophomore year, he took a big step, gained confidence, and put stuff on film that was elite. And then he kind of started to explode. And then, of course, last year was, a dominant player in the state. And this year, he's one of the best players in the state of Florida.
No, absolutely. That's impressive right there. And so before we go to a question about the feeder schools, because it's still it's cool what St. Johns County has got in terms of the feeder school system. But looking at the defensive side here, numbers that stick out to me, obviously 26 sacks. That's great. 7 interceptions. So I mean, again, as I referred to it earlier, it's been a collective team effort, and then the same goes for the defense. Obviously, it's everybody's been playing, working their tails off here.
Yeah, I mean, 2 returning starters on defense, and one of those is a sophomore this year. He started last year in the secondary as a freshman, and 0 returning starters who started game 1 last year. So as the guy calling the defense was pretty anxious and still anxious every game, to be honest with you. We're starting 5, some Fridays 6 sophomores. But golly, they're awesome kids. They're talented. There's no doubt about that. We certainly make youthful mistakes, but we're getting better and better and better. And just I won't even say the consistency of play, because our play on defense has not been consistent, but the consistency of their mentality and their willingness to learn from their mistakes and overcome it and be tough. And we've certainly had some tough moments. Has been great. And I think this is a group that, we're starting 2 seniors. I think has a really, really high ceiling going forward, and maybe for a year or 2 to come.
No, absolutely, and that's all impressive with everything. And the other thing that's impressive, and Michael Lashia very well for with your days at St. Augustine, but we had him on one of our other shows last week, and he was there, and because y'all host some of the middle schools for feeder for their games. I know that happened at a couple different high schools around St. Johns County for the middle schools to use to field there at in the county. And you talked about it, you referred to the feeder system. What's so cool about the feeder system that y'all have got in St. Johns County? Because I know for a lot of areas that's kind of gone away, and y'all still have that coming into the schools.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to be honest, technically they're not feeders anymore, according to state law, and the FHSA would not refer to them that way. I just naturally do it because that's I mean, I went to Murray Middle School.
We're all old school, right?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Murray Middle School, and all my other classmates went to Sebastian Middle School. And, so I would say one thing that I'm grateful for in St. Johns County is that I do think the adults are still in charge, and I think that's healthy for teenagers that the adults are in charge, as long as the adults are doing everything with that authority to serve these teens and to help train them and raise them up and develop youngsters. So I am grateful for that we're not just a wide open enrollment county. I think that's healthy. We're empowered to hold, Samori and Wingo to the same standard as the third teamer. And not that we would, but you don't have to look over your shoulder and wonder if next week he's going to be at a different school, and that's healthy for Samori and Wingo. That's good for him. So I am grateful for that about St. Johns County and our strong leadership that we have. Technically they're not our feeders. But every high school, goes out of their way to accommodate those what are you talking about? They're called the feeder pattern schools. Goes out of their way to accommodate them. Those kids that are in the south part of the county love to play games at Menendez. Those kids that live in Nocatee love to play their games at Nice or at Ponte Vedra. Those kids in northwest St. Johns County love to get to go play at Creekside or play at Bartram, and that's how it all should be. The kids at Royal Golf love to get to play at Decoy. So, and the kids in Beach Walk, they want to go play their games at the field at Beachside. So that's healthy, right? I mean, that's not a bad thing. So, we're not allowed to even go visit those middle schools and things like that, like you could in the old days, and develop relationships with those kids. Because that's, again, technically by the FHSA letter of the law, there are no feeder schools, but I do think that things are relatively healthy in St. Johns County in regards to that. And I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely.
So St. Johns County is one of the fastest growing areas in the country. What's it say to the growth of the county and the state of the program with the and the other schools coming in like Creekside and Mendez recently?
Yeah. So and we're in a little bit of a unique situation in that we're a little bit locked in where our boundary lines are for our school. We actually have had some growth just north of our school, kind of going north, right where we butt up to Nice and Decoy's school zones. But our school has hovered right around 1,800 or so for quite a while now. The schools in the north part of the county, we keep opening schools to try to keep them from exploding.
And I think
not too long ago, Nice was at 30. Yeah, Nice was at 3,200 kids before Decoy opened. Bartram was up close to, I think, to 3,000 kids before Beachside, and I think now Creekside's 24, 25, something like that. So, it's a little different for us. We're 25 minutes away from Menendez. Nice and Decoy are both 15 minutes up the road, but really different areas. St. Augustine, we're kind of in our own area. And so we don't see too much because of the growth. It is interesting with all the new schools popping up. But really that creates a lot of more change and fluctuation in the northern part of our county. Those 6 across the north definitely have had a lot of fluctuation, whereas we're just kind of sitting in our spot, and they're building houses where they can fit them in, but there's not as much space where we are.
Wow, it's impressive. And myself, I'm a Flagler College alum, so I've had my dealings and running around St. Augustine for years, and it's just impressive just to watch how St. Johns County is growing. And it's never to say never that all of a sudden one day there could be a new housing development that impacts y'all, and y'all are 2,000 kids again one day.
Well, no doubt. And there is some space. I mean, there's space west out 16, past 95. There's space north of the school. I live north of the school, about 12, 14 minutes north of the school. I actually live a little bit closer to Nice than St. Augustine. And that drive has changed a lot just in the 10 years I've been back as the head coach, with I think 4 different housing developments that are all in our zone.
Holy cow.
And just, storefronts, things like that. So yeah, it's going to just continue to develop.
No, absolutely. And as we wrap this up here quickly, Coach, we got you at Ridgeview this week, and then host Mandarin, where you got your head coaching start at. That was the school you started your head coaching career at, and they're coming into Foots Brumley on the Halloween Eve night that Thursday, October 30th, and that wraps up the regular season schedule. Y'all are already district champs. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just at the end of the day, 2 regular season games left, and that's it. It's on to the postseason. But I'm still, if real quick, I would be probably the best. The focus is just Ridgeview this week, right? Regardless of what's left on the schedule and what's ahead.
Yeah, for sure. We, like I said, we've especially with our kids on defense, we got so many young kids that, goodness gracious, we got to make sure they don't miss the bus when we go play. I mean, I love them, but man, they're wacky. All these sophomores, 15, 16-year-olds running around like chickens with their head cut off sometimes. So, no, we're gonna try to go play well Friday night over at Ridgeview, and then certainly next Thursday is an exciting Week 11 game. Because Mandarin's just got a terrific football team, and it was a very exciting game a year ago, and they're going to be a real challenge, I'm sure. So that'll make that fun as well. But yeah, we're going to focus on this Friday, and then it's 2 more opportunities for us to continue to compete and to continue to improve before the playoffs get here. So we're excited for both of them.
No, absolutely. Well, Coach, appreciate it, and with everything, and best of luck this week.
Hey, thanks. Thank you. Appreciate you guys for, doing all you do to promote high school sports in our state.
No, appreciate it, Coach. Thank you. And we appreciate you joining us here tonight. All right. That was head coach Brian Braddock from the St. Augustine Yellow Jackets joining us here on the Northeast Florida edition of the Blitz here. And boy, that good to, again, guys that come back to their programs, being able to be part of their programs or continue what the coach they played under, and being able to just continue that. Whereas the case example here with Coach Braddock, under Joey Wiles for a long time, and then was just able to pick up the baton and just carry on what has been a winning culture for over 2 decades, almost 3 decades now, if we start to look at it.
Yeah, and there's no shortage of that around the state, and it goes to show how dedicated the coaches are to their own communities and their own schools, and Coach Braddock is a good example of that.
No, absolutely. All right. Well, when we come back here on the Northeast Florida edition of the Blitz, it'll be time for our pick 6 for week number 10. We'll be right back here in just a couple minutes.
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought, if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, it's a great chance that I can do it. The First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with a free ScoreStream mobile app. Download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Get ready for the 2026 Coach of the Year Clinics. This February and March, see top collegiate coaches, learn from the best, and take your program to the next level. Don't miss America's most respected coaching clinics.
All right, welcome back here to the Northeast Florida edition of the Blitz. Here, as we roll along here, we are coming up into our one segment that we've always loved, and that is the time for the Pick Six for week number 10. And Chris, we got some interesting games here on the docket here as we, for some reason, there we go. I don't know why I had it back all the way back on these things and it didn't want to set right. So I don't know if it's just maybe the box is not working right tonight. Anyways, maybe Emery would say the UFOs are affecting the technology. I don't know. Anyways, Chris, first up on our docket here is Baker County 4-4, Wakulla 5-3. There's some interesting things here. Wakulla wins this one. They absolutely win the district title over there in Class 3A, District 2. But if Baker County wins, we're looking at a potential three-way tie in that district, and that would be settled by the rankings. So here we go. Is it Wakulla or Baker County on your pick tonight?
I like Wakulla on this one, especially at home.
Yeah, Wakulla is a tough place to play at. Scott Cleese has done a really great job leading this team for many years, and honestly, being the only thing out there in Crawfordville and Wakulla County, you better believe it. They've got an atmosphere out there, and Reno takes Wakulla as well for his pick. So that's where we're going. 81% chance on the win probability for Wakulla. Okay. Up next is all the marbles in District 3A3. It is Yulee 7-1, Rains 7-0. Yulee suffered their first loss last week. Rains just keeps rolling behind quarterback TJ Cole. Rains 17-point favorite over the visiting Hornets. Giving the Vikings a 93% chance of this game. I think we kind of know where the picks are going to go with this.
Yeah, but I like Rain, and they're going to win this game, but it's going to be a lot closer than that. So yeah, give me Rain.
I'm not so sure. I was stunned when after thinking about that with Yulee. What happened with Yulee last week against Flagler Palm Coast? I think Rains is going to definitely. It's going to be a margin, and I think I'm going against. I'm thinking in terms of it's going to be over. It's going to be over. Rains, I think it's going to be more like a 24 to 28 point game here with Rains, and it's like Mark Hannon says, "Good Lord, Rains." Yes, indeed. All right, and Reno takes Rains as well. All right, up next is IMG Academy Junior National 5-3 at Ponte Vedra 6-2. Ponte Vedra 42-point favorite. We're talking some scenarios here, Chris, as we were looking at it. This is one of the two games that if Middleburg needs any help along with what they need to do, and then with Beachside, they need Ponte Vedra to top this game and next week's game and the following week's game against Creekside in order to maybe potentially have a shot at the District 5A3 title. But I'm not so sure. Ponte Vedra is now more in line for this district title in more ways than not. But so, I'm it's me. I'm taking Ponte Vedra here.
Yeah, I am too. I'm taking Ponte Vedra as well. Not the same IMG Academy that the national team. Let's get that straight. But
this is the second.
This is the one that struggles.
Well, this is actually the middle team. This middle team actually is good. The one that struggles the one is actually the IMG Academy State team. That's the third team, which this used to be what they called IMG Academy White, and the state team is what the blue team used to be. So IMG Academy Junior National Ponte Vedra. I'm taking Ponte Vedra. Reno takes Ponte Vedra. All right, up next, district game here over in District 1A3. It is Providence University Christian. It's for all the marbles for the district title here. And I somehow did not switch that out properly and when I did the graphic. So I apologize. Apparently, I did not put that correctly, but I will give you the actual line. I thought I put it incorrectly, and I did not. So University Christian is a 37-point favorite on this one. Pretty much it's not 99 to 100% win probability for the Fighting Christians.
Yeah, give me University Christian at home. Providence is good, but yeah.
And Providence has had their struggles this year. Give me University Christian. Reno takes University Christian. Up next is Middleburg at Fleming Island. Middleburg, a 37-point favorite in this one. 100% win probability. And this week I am taking Middleburg after what they did to Beachside, winning that game. Middleburg came from behind and got the overtime, and they missed extra point was what allowed them to win that game. And
Yeah, rumor has it they're trying to call you to come play a game. Yeah, give me Middleburg to blow them out.
I think at Fleming Island, it's at Randy Warren Field over there in Fleming Island. But by the way, do not call Fleming Island Orange Park. They are not in Orange Park. They are not been in Orange Park zip code. They have their own zip code, 32003. That is Fleming Island, Florida, not Orange Park, Florida. Anybody saying Orange Park, Florida, will probably get ran out of Fleming Island off County Road 220 or up the down of US 17. So there you go. I am going with Middleburg this week. I feel like Middleburg is just, after that win's going to fire them up to finish probably for the potential best record of 9-1 that they have not seen in 35 years. So in the regular season. All right. And last but not least, we have a big game. Oakleaf, Mandarin, both 7-1. It is for all the marbles over in District 6A2, the Knights and the Mustangs. And somehow I did not correct the line on here. I thought I got it, but I'll tell you right now, the favorability on this one, it's very, very close in this game. It's not. I don't know why. I must have been really. Oakleaf is a 9-point favorite in this one. Today's been a drag day. I'm sorry. It's been. I have not felt the best today, but Oakleaf 81% win probability on this one.
Give me Mandarin at home.
Mandarin. After what Oakleaf did, my question is does Oakleaf have enough in the tank here?
That's what I'm thinking too.
Against Ed White, but you know what? This is you know what? I'm going Oakleaf. I feel like Oakleaf is just a notch above on the talent level this year compared to Mandarin. Just a notch.
Yeah, I can see that, but I got to go with Mandarin at home. It's going to be a close game, but yeah.
Absolutely. All right. We are pretty much out of time here. And with that said here, and we're wrapping it up here. And then we've got our next show coming up here, which is the North Central Florida edition of Blitz. And on that show, we'll have head coach Brian Allen of the Columbia Tigers joining us here. We'll see y'all in just a few minutes here on FlooridaHSFootball.com.